Okay, let's talk about something that trips up almost every English learner, talking about quantity. Getting much, many, and a lot of to sound right. It's actually a huge step towards sounding truly natural. And I promise, by the end of this quick breakdown, you're going to know exactly how to do it. It's a great question, right? Why is it so tricky? You can know all the vocabulary, all the grammar rules, but sometimes your sentences just don't quite sound right. And this whole quantity thing is a classic example. But don't you worry, the fix is way, way simpler than you probably think. For instance, have you ever said something like, I have much work? People will totally get what you mean, but for a native speaker, it's a little flag. They would almost always, 100% of the time, say, I have a lot of work. So let's dig into the simple rules that explain exactly why. So here it is, the golden rule, the single most important idea we're going to cover. It all, and I mean all, comes down to the noun you're talking about. It really just boils down to one simple question. Can you count it or can't you? Is the noun countable or uncountable? Countable nouns are easy, right? 1 apple, 2 books, 3 cars. Uncountable nouns are concepts or substances you can't really put a number on, like water or time or traffic. And here's the classic tricky one, money. I know, you can count dollars, but the idea of money itself is uncountable. Once you get this difference, everything else just clicks into place. So for all those things you can count, cars, books, friends, whatever, the rule is super simple. You use many. There are many cars. Easy enough, right? So what about the other kind of noun? Well, for the uncountable stuff, those more abstract things like time, traffic, or information, your go-to word is much. I don't have much time is a perfect everyday example. So just remember, many for things you count, much for things you don't. Now let me give you a fantastic little shortcut. Think of a lot of as your secret weapon, kind of like the joker in a deck of cards. Why? Because when you're not sure or you just want an easy option, you can use it with both countable and uncountable nouns. A lot of cars, a lot of time, it works every single time. Honestly, this is one of the fastest ways to sound more natural. Okay, so you've nailed the golden rule about nouns. That's awesome. But there's one more layer to this whole thing, the context. Believe it or not, the most natural word choice actually changes depending on if you're saying something positive, negative, or asking a question. And here's where so many people get tripped up. In a positive sentence, a statement of fact, native speakers will almost always use a lot of. Saying I have much money is probably one of the most common errors out there. To sound fluent, just make a lot of your automatic choice for any positive statement about a large quantity. But watch what happens when we flip the sentence and make it negative. All of a sudden, much and many are back in the game. In fact, they become the best and most natural choice. I don't have many apples. I don't have much time. This is really where these two words get to shine in everyday conversation. And you know what? The exact same logic works for questions. When you're asking about quantity, much and many are your best friends. Do you have many friends? Did you drink much water? It just sounds clear, correct, and perfectly natural. This brings us perfectly to a super practical use for our golden rule, asking questions. When should you say how much? And when do you say how many? Well, you guessed it, it all goes right back to the noun. Think of it like a simple two-step formula you can't get wrong. For countable nouns, like brothers, you always kick it off with how many. And for uncountable nouns, like milk, you start with how much. If you just follow that little recipe, your questions are always going to be spot on. All right, you have totally got the essentials down. So, you ready to level up? Let's check out a phrase that's going to make you sound even more advanced and fluent when you're talking. This fantastic little phrase is quite a lot of. It's an awesome way to add emphasis, to show that you mean a really large amount, maybe even more than expected. And just like its simpler cousin, a lot of, it has that same superpower. It works with both countable and uncountable nouns. Wow, there are quite a lot of people here. I have quite a lot of work to do. See? Okay, I need you to pay very close attention to this next part. When you're using this pro-level phrase, there is one critical, crucial rule that you must never, ever break. It's a really, really common mistake. Here it is. You can say a lot of, or you can say lots of. Both are fine. But the moment you add that word quite for emphasis, it has to be quite a lot of. The phrase quite lots of just, Well, it doesn't exist in English. It's a total no-go. So please burn that one into your memory. Whew, okay, we have covered a lot of ground. So let's pull everything together for a quick summary and highlight those little traps you need to watch out for. This table right here, this is your ultimate cheat sheet. Just remember, many and much are your star players for negatives and questions, depending on the noun. And your super flexible friend, a lot of, is the hero for all your positive sentences. Seriously, feel free to take a screenshot of this. It's everything we learned in one simple spot. And finally, let's just hammer home these 3 key traps one last time. First, avoid using much in positive sentences. Always reach for a lot of instead. Second, never forget that tiny little word of in a lot of. And third, always remember that even though you can count dollars, the concept of money is uncountable.
So, after breaking it all down, how much more confident do you feel about using these words now? See? The code isn't really that complicated after all. It's just a couple of simple rules that, once you know them, will make a huge difference in how natural you sound. Now the fun part is getting out there and putting it all into practice.